All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Joan Hockenstad. I have the privilege of subbing in for Mr. Max Saunders while he's on vacation. He should be coming back here in the next couple days, but while he's been gone, I've had the pleasure of hosting these calls. So thank you so much for allowing me to be on the call. Today, you are here for our agent update and sales track training for the day. And our agenda is going to be pretty simple. We're going to talk about promotions and announcements that are going on. We're actually going to go through those pretty darn quick because we have a lot of information today. And then we're going to have the rare, exciting feat of hearing Mr. Skylar Whitman and John Wishenko today. And then we'll jump into our training of the day, which is sales track, step number 2, the 15-second commercial. So thank you, Virginia, for letting me know that you can see and hear. That's wonderful. And actually, I don't think you can. Oh, you can. Perfect. Let's go ahead and jump on in. First, I want to remind everybody that we do have the 90-day starter package with coaching. For $250, people have 90-day access to the full Worth Account program. That includes up to 3 mortgages. That includes coaching. They could call every single day, Monday through Friday, if they chose to do so. They have full access to the program. This is a phenomenal way for new agents to get introduced to the program. They also get to become an agent for free for 1 year. And during that 90-day starter package, they also get to have, they come in at the director level. So their commission base will be at the director level. This is a huge advantage, especially if you're going out there and recruiting. You really do want to encourage people to try the program. We have seen that people that are on the program will outsell and will outperform those that are not on the program. So the starter package is a phenomenal way to start on the program and get to know it and really get to enjoy it. On day 91, they no longer have access to the program. There's no contract. So if they choose to upgrade to the lifetime membership, the $250 will go toward that lifetime membership. If they choose not to, no problem. They just simply won't be able to access the program anymore starting on day 91. But they continue to be an agent for the remaining term of the year. And then it's just a $50 renewal. Now, I'm excited to say that, of course, for the starter package, because we're actually selling the program, a 90-day trial of the program, we actually earn commission on the sale of the 90-day trial of the program. If you're an agent, you get $65 out of that 250. Supervisor, you have 73. As a director, you get 82. Managing director, 91. Executive director, earn $100 on those starter package sales. That's pretty amazing. It may not sound like you're getting much, 65 to $100, but think about it. That's only on a $250 sale. Now, I don't know about you, but I've made quite a few of these sales, and this adds up very quickly. So I do want to encourage everybody, as you're going out there and you're building your team, if that's what you choose to do, really encourage people to try that starter package if they qualify for the program. It's a phenomenal way to start with Worth Unlimited. Also, don't forget, we do have an October promotion. So if you have a Platinum or a Platinum Plus activation in the month of October, October 1st through the 31st, you will get a $150 bonus on that sale. If you have a second sale, you will actually get $250 bonus. Now, I'm happy to say it's actually an accumulative promotion. So it's not that you get $150 on the first and $250 on the second. You actually get $250 bonus on both of those sales. You have 3 sales, you're actually going to earn $350 bonus on all 3 sales. This goes all the way up to the 5th sale. So if you have 5 sales in the month of October, you're going to get a $550 bonus on every single sale that you do. Now, if you have 10 sales, you're still going to get a bonus. It's capped at the $550. Now, these do have to be paid in full. The minimum volume of payment has to be $2,250 per sale to qualify. But guys, I've already qualified for this. If I can do it, you can do it. So get out there, start introducing Worth, really get out there and do this big. This promotion is going to be a phenomenal way to start padding your pocket for the upcoming holidays. I know for me, when I qualified for the bonus, I did a little extra shopping. Then I qualified for the next bonus, so I did a little bit more shopping, and so on and so forth. So guys, pad your pockets, get ready for the holidays, and really take full advantage of this October promotion. Also, don't forget, we have a very special discount that we offer to our military and first responders. Now, this is for current, reserves, retired, whatever it may be. It's all military and first responders earn a 10% discount on the lifetime membership of the program. This is just a very small way of us to say thank you to military and first responders for doing such an incredible job keeping our community safe, our families safe, our country safe. So thank you to all military and all first responders. We truly are grateful for all that you do. Now, if you are going out there, I actually would encourage you, why not go after and target this as a phenomenal target market, as a niche market? Go after military, go after first responders. And you can find more information in your newsworthy blog in your back office. Alrighty, I told you we were going to go through the promotions and announcements kind of quickly. I hope that was okay with you because we have a lot of things to talk about today. And one of the most important things that we're going to hear about today is actually from some words from the owners of Worth Unlimited. So last week we had a really phenomenal call with Skylar Whitman and John Wushenko. They told us their why, their personal why, the business why, what made Worth Unlimited so important to them, why they really felt the need to create the program. We had such great feedback that we thought would have an encore of sorts. So tonight, we once again get to hear from the original founders of United First Financial, the company that graduated into Worth Unlimited. And just so you know, if you don't know these two gentlemen, this gentleman on the left is Skylar Whitman. This gentleman on the right is John Wushenko. And tonight, again, it is my privilege to introduce the two of them to hear more insider view of Worth Unlimited. So John and Skylar, please take it away.
Thank you, Joan. I'll go ahead and go over some things with you guys. You know, I've been just kind of, really kind of pondering this and praying about, our situation here in America and what we've actually kind of got ourselves into. And, I feel like people are just so immune to debt that it no longer matters to them. And I feel like, we've just conditioned ourselves to accept that we'll die in debt. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've talked to so many people that just say, I don't really ever plan on paying this thing off. I don't really care, and it feels like, the American dream of home ownership is turning into a 30-year fixed rate mortgage that I can hand off to my kids. And, is this something that we want to put up with? Is this something that we want to accept and allow to become our fate? People, debt binds us down. It holds us back from a much better and brighter future and tomorrow. And it's one of the biggest things that's killing our freedom, I believe. And how can you truly be free if you're constantly worrying about how to make a mortgage payment? So many people I talk to, when I ask them, hey, what are your dreams? What do you want to accomplish? They want to do great things, but what holds them back is debt and having to work. Debt causes poverty, not prosperity. Anyone who tries to tell you differently is obviously trying to sell you something. I've just been really thinking about this, and the more people retire from their careers and end up going to work for Walmart or doing some other miscellaneous job to basically pay the bills because they didn't plan ahead, because they didn't have a product like ours. I mean, it's just one of those things that you can just hold your head high. I mean, if somebody will get on this program and use it, it will absolutely show them results and give them results. I just don't get why America has accepted this as the new status quo, the 30-year mortgage and just die and retire in debt. I mean, it's almost like somebody's pulling the wool over our eyes, and it's like debt is no longer, it's like we've convinced ourselves that it's not slavery and that it's not a form of bondage, when it absolutely is. And anybody who tells you differently is definitely selling you something. We need to wake America up. You're not free when you're in debt. You constantly have an obligation, and if you don't fulfill that obligation, well, then it's going to come right back to bite you, and you're going to get kicked out of your house, and that's not a way to live. This is this is much more than just me or you. Man, it's just so much a part of what I want to help people do, is help them to see their true potential, help them to see what it looks like 5 years down the road if they follow this program versus 5 years down the road if they don't. 5 years down the road, you're just going to have a 30-year mortgage that you're just going to hit the reset button. Right now I feel like we're at a critical point, and we've got to get people to rise up. I feel like we've got like a few years left that are good years, a few years that we can actually make a difference. And then we're going to hit another storm. And it's only if you take advantage of those good times that you can get ahead, because then you can weather the storm and the bad times that come down the road. And, we, all of us on this call, have an opportunity to make a change, to make a difference. And that's what we started this for. My parents lost their home in foreclosure. I know what that's like. It's miserable. I mean, financially, there's not much worse than getting kicked out on the street, not knowing where to take your family and what to do with them. And that's just something that I don't believe that we should put at risk. It's got to stop. We've got to put an end to it. People need to take advantage and take care of their children and their children's children. If we do nothing, who is this going to pass on to? It's going to become, our children's responsibility, and they're going to be the beneficiaries of debt and poverty. I just read an article the other day, and it talked about how it's becoming harder and harder for people to break the cycle of poverty and debt. And debt is the one thing that's holding them back from succeeding and growing. It's something that I feel like we've got to rise up, and I'm calling for you to rise up with us and to help us build this. We've got an amazing product that helps deliver success at every corner if people will just follow it. And I don't feel that $3,500 is too much for a guaranteed pathway to freedom. And that freedom is no longer being in debt. You have no more bondage, no more taskmaster sitting over you telling you, if you don't make that payment, I'm going to kick you out on the street. I believe that the Lord God has made us free, and that we are free indeed, but we have to choose to be free. And I believe that we have been given this product and this opportunity to charge forward and make a difference, to build people up, to show them their true financial potential. And you know what? I believe that the Lord has helped us to build this product to bring hope and light to a suffocating dark hole called a 30-year fixed mortgage, which has tricked people into thinking it's freedom. I talk to people all the time, and I seem to get, and I don't know if you get this as well, but people think that, I just got a mortgage, I'm not in debt. You just got a mortgage. That's the biggest asset you have. I'm not in debt. Oh, okay. Yeah, you just have a mortgage. What happens if you lose your job? Well, I've got, 2 months of payments, and then what happens after that? Well, I don't have a plan. Well, that's what the Worth account does. That's what our product does, is it builds a plan. It helps you to see the future of and plan for a future of hard times before you actually run into them. That way you can weather a storm and you're not kicked out on the street. And I believe that the Lord has put us together to make a difference. And I believe that we have the ability to change this country and to change and to make a difference in people's lives, but we have to stand up and do something about it. If we do nothing, it's just going to continue this cycle. We're already trillions of dollars in debt and headed in the wrong direction. I feel like my kids and the next generation are so unprepared for what's coming. Saving up for something is a thing of the past. That's what it used to be in my day when I was a kid. And what it was for my grandpa and for my dad, they had to save up, but now it's all a buy it now and pay for it later. This kind of thinking is just putting us deeper and deeper into debt, and we've got to do something about it. if this is something that you guys believe in as well, we need to rise up together and take advantage of this opportunity that I feel is before us right now. We've got a few good years left to make a difference. And, if we don't, then we're going to leave it to our kids. We're going to leave it to them, and it's just going to get worse, and the hole's just going to get deeper and deeper. And so, I just want to leave you with this choice. You can either do something, you can leave it to your kids to do something with, or we can do something. And if we do something, wherever there's a great responsibility, there is great opportunity. And I'm telling you, there is great opportunity if we stand up, rise up, and take advantage of what's in front of us. We have the biggest beacon of hope to sell people. Most of the time when people see what it is, it's almost every time it's too good to be true. I can't pay this off in 9 years. They don't understand their true financial potential. And I believe that we have that opportunity and the responsibility to show them that, but we need thousands of people to rise up to make that difference, to actually make that change. And I feel we've got a few good years left to make that happen, but the choice is obviously yours. And I pray that you guys will rise up with us. We need leadership to rise up. We need more leadership and more people to rise up and make a difference. And I just pray that the Lord will guide your heart and that you will do what you feel is right. Skylar?
Well, boy, if you can't hear the passion in John's voice, then you probably had earplugs in or something. Hey, everybody, this is Skylar Whitman joining you tonight. Thank you so much for being on the Monday night agent training call. John is a hard act to follow because you can just sense his passion for what we're all involved in here. And I would just like to second what John just went over. We have a tremendous opportunity with this product, with this approach, with the knowledge and understanding that we have, to be able to go out and help people, to be able to make a tremendously beneficial change in the direction of their life financially. Because as all of us on this call know, finances don't just affect our finances. They affect almost every aspect of our lives. Because if we're in bondage, if we're in debt and to a point where we're not quite sure how to be able to get through it, we literally are in bondage. And when we're in bondage, it takes away our freedoms. And when our freedoms are taken away, obviously we can't go out and do some of the things that we would like to do. We can't go out and do things that would be able to help those around us who may be in need, whether they're in financial need or some other need that may require our time. So anyway, I don't want to be on a great big long soapbox this evening. I know that's not what you guys got on the call for, but one thing that I did want to go over is, as all of us on this call probably already know, banks are very good at building wealth with our money, with your money. So what do I mean by that? As an important part of their wealth building strategy, the banking industry, and this is something that I'm going to go into in more detail over the next weeks and months, but the banking industry has taught us and trained us to keep our money separate. Now, you may already kind of guess where I'm going with this. What do I mean by separate? Well, basically, we are taught to set up a checking and or savings account, and just picture in your mind with me if you can, and we are taught to keep it over here separate on the left. Just picture in your mind with me if you can. And we're also taught to take out our loans and make payments to those loans separately over here on the right, never combining our positive cash accounts with our loan accounts. Now, who benefits from this separate structure more, us or the banks? Well, I think the answer to that question is pretty clear as well. We're taught to keep our money separate because the banks build tremendous wealth by keeping our money separate. So in other words, keeping our positive cash accounts separate from our negative interest charging accounts. Well, as we all know, through the Worth account, it's a complete and total game changer from the way that the banks and the lending institutions have taught us to keep our money separate. Because when we keep our money separate, they are able to go through and lend money that is in our checking and our savings account out in the form of credit cards and auto loans and whatever loans, you name it. But then we're also taught to go through and us personally take out loans and pay them interest payments on that money. So basically, each and every time we take out a loan, the lender makes money with the payments, the interest payments that we pay them. And each time that we deposit and hold money in our checking and our savings account, the lender again makes money off the interest that they lend out to other borrowers in the form of loans, credit cards, auto loans, all of that kind of stuff. What we're doing is we are working to try and change the mindset of the average American to see that their money that they already earn has power. It has far more power than the banking and the lending institutions want them to realize, because the banking and the lending institutions make money, tremendous wealth, off the power of our money and keeping us mentally separate, keeping our accounts separate, and not showing us that if we would, combine our positive cash against our negative cash, that we would save tremendous interest, get out of debt, and be free. Because the reason why they don't like that, and I'm not trying to bash on the banks too much tonight, but the reason why they don't like that is because it would take away their ability, their structure, their plan to make tremendous wealth off of our hard-earned money. And recently, as I know that you know, we have now gone through and reintroduced what we have titled as an ALOC, an advanced line of credit, as a part of the strategy that works with our software system, our debt elimination system, to help people to be able to get out of debt very, very rapidly and save tremendous interest. And since we went through and reintroduced the ALOC angle, we have gotten tremendous positive feedback from people that were with us, those of you that are on the call that have been with us since the United First Financial days. You remember that approach. You remember the power that approach had. It had such a significant eye-opening effect on the people that saw it that they could not help but share it with people. And that is what we are feeling a tremendous surge from right now. The checking and savings method is a fantastic approach, and it does help people to save a significant amount of time and interest. But the advanced line of credit approach, the ALOC approach, it really does outperform the checking and savings account method pretty significantly, but also from a marketing standpoint, it really helps people to open their eyes and open their minds as to the possibilities and the power of the money that they're already earning on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So anyway, I just wanted to share with you that those of you that are out sharing this ALOC approach, the advanced line of credit approach, with the debt elimination system, you guys are doing a fantastic job at getting that message out. We're feeling, like I was saying, we're feeling a tremendous surge of inquiries, people that are curious about this, that have never heard anything like this, and they're loving what they're hearing. And I just wanted to say, you guys are doing a fantastic job. It's obvious that many of you on the call have caught that vision. And for those of you that don't quite see the power of what the advanced line of credit or ALOC approach has along with this system, please continue to tune into these calls, because we're going to continue to put out marketing materials and different things that really help to open the eyes of the prospects of the people that you're talking to be able to make your job easier and help you to be able to have far more production with less effort. So listen, we're all really excited about this. Hopefully the information I just went over made sense, but if not, please forgive me. We'll continue to get more and more information out to you that helps people to be able to get a better understanding of how their money works and what options are out there to be able to help them get ahead financially. So that's pretty much what I want to go over tonight. Joan, do you want to go ahead and take it away?
I've got it. Thank you so much. Can I just say amen to everything that you just said? There's so many amens, so many thank yous, so many just positive feedback to both you, Skylar, and to you, John. So thank you so much for coming on board. And truly, I'm a member of the field as well. I'm not a part of corporate. So as a member of the field, I hope I can speak for everybody on the call and just say to both of you, thank you. We both, or I know that I feel so strongly about the both of you. I think you guys are amazing people, amazing what you've done, and I know that the field is just so grateful for all that you have done. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are amazing people. So with that,
Thank
let's
you.
go ahead and jump into our training of the day. So our agent update and sales track training of the day. Our topic for the day is the 15-second commercial. We're going to go ahead and jump on in. So what is sales track? Well, last week we spoke about sales track. We started the sales track training. Sales track is a detailed and systematic approach to the sale of products, goods, and services. Sales track is exactly what the name implies, a track to run on to ensure the best possible outcome to your sales process. Now, just a quick review. There's 6 main steps to sales track. Number 1, the starting point. With whom do I start? And that's what we chatted about last week. Now, there were a lot of people that asked and followed up with me even after the call and asked, where do I get a copy of the recording of it? If you go back into YouTube and you do a search for Worth Unlimited, with whom do I start? You will be able to find the recording from last week. This week is also recorded, and I will also have it on YouTube. You'll find it under Worth Unlimited, 15-second commercial. But last week we spoke a lot about with whom do I start? And of course, we all know, I hope that we remember at least, we're supposed to start with our list. That's truly the most important place that you can start. That list is your critical piece. Spending some time, an hour or two, sitting down and thinking about and brainstorming about anybody and everybody that you know without judgment, just writing down any and every name that comes to mind. Now, this is your start of your database. From now on, anybody and everybody that you meet goes into that database, and your database is gold. You really need to massage that database. You really need to go back to that database. You're always filling that database. You're always growing it, and you're always trying to message the people that are in your database. And then, of course, after you have that database, again, like I said, anybody and everybody you meet goes into that database, but you need to get out there and you need to start prospecting. You need to start meeting people, creating a marketing plan. If you have a target market, where does your target market go? And that's where you need to go to get in front of your target market. Now, it's fantastic to have a huge list, but if you don't know what to say, if you don't have an exciting commercial, you're not going to get very far. And that's what our topic for tonight is. We're going to be talking about the 15-second commercial. How do you really start the conversation about Worth Unlimited? Step number 3 in the sales track is using qualifying questions and tie-down questions. It really is pointless to move forward with somebody that's truly not interested in getting out of debt. If somebody has let's say 3 mortgages, they have 23 credit cards, maybe 50 auto loans, 100 lines of credit. You know, I'm trying to exaggerate. I'm not that good at it, but I'm trying to. If they really do not have a desire to get out of debt, they really just do believe, I want to rack up as much debt as I can. I'm in love with my debt. I have no desire to get out of my abusive relationship with my debt. You're not going to be able to get them to move forward. And I hate to tell you, there are people out there like that. So using qualifying questions and tie downs is really going to help you distinguish the people that are truly interested in getting out of debt versus people that aren't. Or quite frankly, maybe that person has no debt and they just aren't a good target as a client, but maybe they're more as a target as an agent. So asking questions, really getting to know your prospect, the person with whom you're speaking, is going to be the best way for you to move them forward in the process, whether that's as an agent or a client. Inserting personal and borrowed stories, I think, is also critical. Remember, people buy on emotion, they back it up with logic. The best way to tap into that emotion is to tell stories. And your story is always the most important story that you have to share. Even if you're not a client, you have a story. You have a reason why you're not a client. You have a reason why you became an agent. You have stories, and those stories are absolutely critical. But as you get to know your prospect, you also need to tell other stories, stories that are relevant to them. Step number 5, once you've been really getting to know your prospect, they're a good candidate, they're ready to move forward, you really want to make sure that they're ready to move forward, and you get into the litmus test. And that's really basically 2 questions. You're going to ask them on a scale of 1 to 5 where their desire is to blank, whatever their desire may be. You've already asked to get to know them. You've found out what their hotspots are. So you're going to insert that hotspot into that blank. So if their hotspot is to become their own boss, then you're going to say on a scale of 1 to 5, where's your desire to get on to become your own boss, or to get out of debt, or to whatever it may be. If they're really interested, you're going to then ask the really critical question: are you serious or just curious about? And then insert their hotspot. And then step number 6 in the sales track: set the appointment in stone. And that's going to be either referring to corporate, a field closer, or running your own analysis. And there's a lot of tricks along the way that you can help to ensure that you set the appointment in stone. And quite frankly, following sales track is one of the best ways to create that sense of urgency and to help you set that appointment in stone. Now, this may sound like a lot. All 6 of these steps may sound like a lot, but it truly isn't. All of these things should be happening in about 5, 10, maybe 15, maybe 20-minute conversation. You're never going to follow these in order because you're truly having just that, a conversation. You may start with a commercial. You may go to a story. You may go to a question, then get some more questions and try to get a tie down. So you're really not following a script. There's no way that you can. It truly is about carrying on a conversation and getting to know the prospect in front of you. Now, as discussed, what we're going to be talking about tonight is that 15-second commercial. That 15-second commercial is really rather critical, as I just said, because that's what's going to determine whether or not you move forward with that prospect. And getting that 15-second commercial just right can be a little bit challenging, and it's something that we all need to work on. And what I suggest is that you actually have multiple commercials, because you're going to use different commercials at different times. If you're speaking with a realtor, you may say one thing. If you're speaking with a new home buyer, you may say something different. If you're speaking to a financial planner, you may have something completely different. And if you're speaking to a physician, you may have something even completely different that you want to approach with that person. So your 15-second commercial does represent what you do for a living, but you do need to cater it to the conversation in front of you. It truly is a condensed version of your occupation or offering designed to capture your prospect's attention. So the approach is everything, as I hate to tell you. But like I said, this is the way that you're going to engage the prospect in a short period of time. Now, on top of what you say, I hate to say it, but the person's judging you on how you say what you say. So practicing is going to be critical. Somebody's determined whether or not they're going to work with you in the first 7 to 10 seconds of meeting you. And that could be before you even said anything. They're judging you on your physical stance. They're judging you on your confidence. Are you confident about what you're talking about? Or are you arrogant about what you're talking about? Or are you lacking confidence completely? And if you're lacking confidence, is it because you're new, or is it because you don't really believe in the product? They're going to look at the language and listen to the language that you use, your positioning, how you carry yourself, how you present yourself, and things that we can't control, their past experiences, their past memories. All of these things interfere with whether or not they determine to work with you. So we need to play all of our aces all of the time. We need to stand up as straight as we can. We need to make eye contact. That is critical. Maintain that eye contact. In fact, you should have about 90% eye contact when you're speaking and 10% looking away. That really instills confidence in the person that you're speaking with. You need to make sure that you're carrying yourself well and you're positioning and presenting yourself well. Now, also, when it comes to what you're saying, the commercial needs to be engaging, it needs to be impactful, it needs to be concise and confident. It's really meant to entice your prospect. It really is meant to get that prospect to ask for more. The challenge is I see people getting attempting to be very creative with it, and they say something that is so I don't want to say weird, but I'll say weird, that you just wonder, what the heck are you even talking about? You have to give that person enough to know what you're talking about and to want to ask more. If they don't have a clue what you're even saying, they're not going to ask you more. They're going to be confused. They don't want to admit that they're confused because they don't want to look stupid in front of you. So they won't ask you for more information. So you have to give them just enough information to get them excited, to get them to want to know more. So get creative with your response. Now, we're going to talk about a few different responses today. I'm going to give you a few ideas of things I've heard, of things I've used, of things that corporate has used. But really, it comes down to what works for you. What is going to match your personality? What do you feel comfortable saying? Because remember, language and positioning are keys to successful approaches. And let me give you an example of that. So which do you think is a better impact? I help people get out of debt. Well, is that what we do? It is what we do, absolutely. But do you think it's a little bit more powerful to say, I help people take control of their financial future? Which one is more impactful? Which one is going to be a stronger commercial? Well, in my humble opinion, I believe it's that I help people take control of their financial future. And this is just a small example to show you that wording and language are critical. So what I would strongly encourage you to do, whether you use one of the ones that we talk about today or whether you create your own, which is just fine, I strongly encourage you to contact a family member, a friend, the person that you go to lunch with at work, the person you sit next to at church, your sibling, your adult child, your parent, whatever it may be. Speak with somebody and ask to practice. Let them know that you got into this business. Let them know what you do and practice that commercial. Ask them, what would you need to hear to move forward? Does this even make sense to you? If you knew nothing about what I was just talking about, would this make you want to learn more? Ask them and ask for feedback, and then be open to the feedback that you hear. And I do have to emphasize, you need to be open to the feedback that they say. Unfortunately, I've had plenty of times where people have come to me and say, gosh, Joan, could you tell me, could I give you my commercial? Could you give me some feedback? And they weren't really interested in what I had to say. So if you're really going to practice with somebody, truly be open to hear the feedback that they have to say, because it's often minor little tweaks in what you're currently doing that make all of the difference. You just have to be willing to make those minor tweaks. So let's get into some examples. This is one example of a 15-second commercial. I have the best job in the world. I'm helping people take control of their finances and their future, and I earned great money doing it. Does that sound like something that would interest you? Now, I like this commercial because it taps on two different areas. It taps on both the client side and the agent side. So now you follow it up with, gosh, which part of that interests you? Taking control of your finances or earning great money? If they say both, fantastic. They're a candidate for both a client and an agent prospect. If they say they want to take control of their finances, clearly their focus is mostly going to be as a client. If they say, gosh, I really could just earn some extra money, fantastic. Let's get them as an agent. That's fantastic. So that will help you get some direction. Now, here's another one. I'm in the parole business. Lenders and mortgage brokers have been handing out 15, 30, and even 40-year sentences. We, on the other hand, are paroling our clients in as little as 1/3 to 1/2 the time. Would you like to know more about that? So notice we're ending with a tie down there. So we're introducing what we do and we're ending with a tie down. It adds a little flavor of fun as well. And that's what we want to do. We want to get creative. My goodness gracious, John was just talking about how people are in the bondage of debt, how we feel like a 30-year mortgage is a normal thing. It's not normal. So I love this commercial because it really does tap into the status quo. It helps us to start to challenge the current status quo. Now, when I first got into sales, I was taught, you know how, identify a problem, and show how you provide a solution. That's how I was taught in the sales world to present a commercial. Well, you know how, identify problem, identify solution that you provide with your program. So when I lived in Las Vegas, which was very recently, I often used, Well, you know how most people here in the Vegas Valley are upside down on their mortgages? Well, I show people how to build equity in the shortest time frame possible given their financial situation. Now, I don't live in Vegas anymore, although Vegas, if you're in Vegas, and we do have a very strong team out in Vegas, that still is a very strong commercial because a lot of properties in Vegas are still upside down. Now, I'm currently in Michigan. Most properties out here are not. Now, there's still a few properties that are upside down, and asking questions before you give a commercial may be helpful with that. But at this point, the one that I use most often is the bottom one. Well, you know how most people spend most of their life in debt, paying on things like credit cards and auto loans, student loans, and even mortgages for what seems like forever? Well, I show people how to beat the banks at their own game and pay those off as quickly as possible. That's the one that I tend to use the most often. Now, sometimes, though, you notice that took a few seconds. I mean, that was probably about 8 seconds long. Sometimes we don't even have that 8 seconds to respond to, what do you do for a living? You really just are running out the door. You just are meeting and passing, so you really don't have that time. Well, here's a couple of ideas of things to say when you don't have as much time. I'm a banking strategist. I'm a debt buster. Now, I love debt buster. One of my agents out in Virginia was using debt buster, but she wouldn't just say she was a debt buster. She would actually sing it to the song Ghostbusters. So I'll try not to sing for you because I'm a horrid singer, but she'd say, Debt Buster, and she'd just start getting into the song. It was a beautiful display, and it was phenomenal because it matched her personality so darn well, and it captured people's attention. I just love Debt Buster. Interest cancellation expert. I'm a debt to wealth expert. I help people take control of their financial future. The one I really like, and I'm stealing this from one of my friends out in Las Vegas, I'm a blank. Maybe I'm a realtor. I'm a loan officer. I'm a physician. But my passion is, and then you get into the worth account. That really does shape the commercial into a story. And that story, again, is going to capture people's attention because when they feel like you're telling a story, they start to really listen to what you have to say. So I love that. I'm an attorney, but my passion is, or I'm a mechanic, but my passion is. It really is just a phenomenal way to highlight what your current main job is, but also introduce where your passion is, and that's with the Worth Account program. Remember, get creative, have fun, and give enough information to help people get curious because you want them to ask for more information, but you do have to keep it simple. Please, please, please do not become a fire hydrant. And I tell you, I have messed that up. If I could be a poster child of what not to do, it would be here. If you can't tell, I love to talk. I know it's a shocker, but I'm a little bit of a fire hydrant. I'm an analytical person. I love to give as much detail as I possibly can, probably way too much detail, and that's okay. So I can it's a bad combo when you're a talker and you're an analytical. It's really not a good combo. So I become a fire hydrant and I blow people away. But you can't do that. You really have to hold it back, rein yourself back in. Less is more. And as a shrink, I can tell you that most people, if you're doing all of the talking, they get bored, they get a little distracted, they're thinking about something else in their head probably. But if you allow them to do most of the talking, you appear to be a genius. As strange as that may sound, it is absolutely true. So give just a little bit and then allow that person to give more, to talk more. That old adage, you have 2 ears, 1 mouth, is there for a reason. But it really comes down to you will appear more knowledgeable, you will appear more confident, you will appear more empathetic and more of an authority figure if you allow them to talk more. So don't be a fire hydrant. Keep it simple. Now, we talked a lot last week about creating that list of people that you know. Are you going to call them up and say, let me give you my commercial? Probably not. So what do you say to your friends and family? Because they already know what you do for a living, right? That common question of, hey, what do you do for a living just isn't going to come up. So we have a lot of events that are coming up. The holiday season has just started. I don't know about you, but October, I've already just been on a whirlwind just with events for my kid for Halloween, the events with my family, coming up on all these other events coming up with work, and then blah, blah, blah. So there's just lots going on. So one of the common questions that you can ask and to help get other people to ask you is, hey, what have you been up to? Sounds like a simple question, right? But we're in a society where people feel an obligation to reciprocate what you say. It's just like when you ask somebody else, what do you do for a living? They feel an obligation to ask you. Well, so you should ask people what they do for a living if you don't know, because they will ask you, and then be prepared with your commercial. But the same thing happens when you ask somebody, hey, what have you been up to? Most of them will in turn ask you, what have you been up to? And then you need to be prepared with your commercial. Now, this is why we need to have different commercials ready, because you may approach it slightly differently with a family member because you know them better. You know a little bit more of their hot spots. So be prepared for that. Another thing that you can do, even if they don't ask, what have you been up to? People are going to ask you, hey, how are you? It's been so long. I haven't seen you in a long time. How are you? At least my family, we all ask each other that all the time. Well, be honest. I am the best I could possibly be. I just found something that's changing our family's life. And then get into your introduction with Worth Unlimited. So it's a great way to segue as we come along the holidays. You can start being excited. Be that happy client that I hope you are. I know I'm an ecstatic client. I've been using this program for over 10 years. I'm one of the happiest clients I could possibly be because it's helped me be in a position I never would have thought I could have been in. And I'm just truly grateful to the program for that. So when somebody asks me that, I can absolutely tell them I'm in a program that's changing my life, and then I can get into work. Now, you're also supposed to be calling on people on your list, right? So we created that list last week. At least I sure hope you created that list last week. And if you didn't create that list last week, what are you going to do after you watch the Eagles play in just a little bit? Yes, Philadelphia Eagles play right now. So what are you going to do after the game? You are going to brainstorm and create your list. So, and when you call on that list, because after you create the list does nothing if it just sits around. You got to pick up the phone and call them. So when you call on them, you're going to form them. What does form mean? It's an acronym. You're going to ask about family, occupation, recreation, and then you deliver your message. Now, if it's somebody that you talk to every single day, you may not form them, but most of the people that you're going to call on, you don't speak with every single day. So you're going to want to ask about their family. You're going to want to ask about their occupation. You're going to want to ask about their recreation, and then you deliver the message. And maybe it's something where you go into your commercial. Maybe it's something that you're, again, the excited client, or maybe it's this, you know what, I've been thinking about you for so long. I remember when you and John Doe bought your house together and how you were complaining about all that interest you were going to pay. I came across a program that's going to benefit you. It's going to help you beat the banks at their own game, and it's going to help you pay as little bit in interest as you possibly can. Let me tell you more. And start that conversation. Just transition once you get into that message. It's all about making sure they know how important they are and that you're positioning it to benefit them. So form your family, form your friends, form those people that you're calling on your list. Now, I get the question often, hey, I started the conversation. Do you all remember a couple months ago, Mac and I had put a challenge out there that we were going to challenge everybody to start 20 new conversations. You weren't going to talk about Worth Unlimited. You were going to simply start 20 new conversations. And I was so proud and so excited to see so many people actually take that challenge and run with it and start that conversation. They may or may not have transitioned to Worth. Quite frankly, that was irrelevant to us. We didn't really, obviously we prefer you to transition, but the goal was for you to start that conversation because it really is uncomfortable to start the conversation. Well, I then get the question, well, I started the conversation. Now what? What the heck do I do now? How do you transition to Worth Unlimited? Well, I tell you, I'm no genius, but I keep it simple. I simply ask, hey, have you heard about the Worth Account program? That sounds kind of simple, right? But it truly is what I say. Hey, have you heard about the Worth Account program? And I've sold a lot of people doing this. Now, another thing that I do, let's say that we aren't talking about Worth Unlimited. Let's say that we're talking about something completely different. I've sold a lot of product on the golf course, even though I'm a horrid golfer. I've sold a lot of Worth Account programs at gas stations and the grocery stores, just getting to know people and talking about what I do. And I ask 4 main questions to help move them down that line to really, as my commercial to kind of help get them going. I ask them, do you own any real estate? Now, I am a licensed broker. I own a real estate brokerage, so I love talking about real estate. So I may have already been asking them, hey, tell me about the real estate market around here. But then I'm going to ask them 4 specific questions. Do you own any real estate? How many years do you have left on that mortgage? Don't you hate all that money you're going to give away to that financial institution? Have you heard about the Worth Account program? So 4 questions to transition any type of conversation that you're at, no matter where you're at, whether you're at a networking event, whether you are at the grocery store, whether you are at the park, it doesn't matter where you're at. 4 easy questions to transition. Do you own any real estate? How many years do you have left on that mortgage? Don't you hate all that money you're going to give away to the financial institution? Have you heard about the Worth Account program? Very easy to transition no matter what you were talking about, even if they did not ask you what you did for a living. Now, what's next? I hate to tell, oops, as I hit my earpiece, sorry about that. I hate to tell you, but you do have to be prepared for what's next too. So people will say, gosh, I have not heard about the Worth Account. What is that? Or, gosh, your commercial sounds incredible. They won't use the word commercial, but they'll say, gosh, that sounds really great. Could you tell me more? We have to be prepared to give a little bit of an inkling as to what the Worth Account is. Now, there's some people that will say you don't need to get any more information. Just go ahead and get their contact information and move on. And that's okay. If you can do that, go for it. By all means, especially if you're new, please, please, please do that. That's perfect. I can tell you that for an analytical like me, I would not move forward unless somebody gave me a little bit more information. Now, I'm certainly not saying go into this huge dissertation about how the program works. You should not do that. That is verbal suicide. Please do not commit verbal suicide. That would be just awful. But give them a little bit. This is what I say. I say something to the effect of, and there's nothing to the effect of, this is what I say. The Worth Account program is a web-based financial GPS. It looks at income, debt, and monthly expenses, and it mathematically calculates the fastest way for one to pay off their loans. For example, Eric, my husband, and I, we're set to have our 29-year mortgage paid off in only 9.1 years. We're saving over $327,000 in interest and almost 20 years of payments. And we did this without refinancing. Our monthly payments remained the same, and there was no change to our monthly budget. Would you like to see if you qualify? That is essentially my commercial, because I know that somebody needs a little bit more information than what I've given them in my commercial to move forward. But I don't want to give too much information where I've just committed verbal suicide and I've become a fire hydrant. So, and then from then on, you cannot script out what you're going to say. It is a conversation, and conversations cannot be scripted. You're going to simply continue to follow sales track. You're going to ask them questions. You're going to qualify them. You're going to use some tie downs. You're going to insert stories and tell them about somebody you just helped. Tell them about this girl that you heard from Michigan and about how it's going to help them and her family pay off their 29-year mortgage. Tell my story. I'm okay with that. Then you're going to talk about the litmus test and setting the appointment in stone. This is merely the start of the conversation, because the start has to happen in order to get to the rest of it. So you do have to have a good commercial to start that conversation. Now, when you do start that conversation, you need to truly listen to what the prospect says and observe their body language. Now, we aren't going to talk about questions tonight. In fact, that's next week's training, and Max Saunders will be back for that. So next week will be qualifying questions and tie downs. But as you're carrying on that conversation and as you deliver your commercial, you really do need to listen to what they say and observe their body language. Look for them turning away from you, standing or sitting. If they've been previously facing you. If this is the case, they're typically put off. If they start pursing their lips, if they start squinting their eyes, their pupils become a little bit more focused. They probably did not believe what you just had to say, or it sounds too good to be true. If they give that objection, or if you have that thought that that's the objection they're giving, handle that objection right then and there. Say something to the effect of, hey, I bet you're thinking that sounds too good to be true. And we'll also talk about in a future upcoming training, we'll talk about how to handle that type of resistance, because it's very easy. And resistance is merely showing you that they're interested in what you have to say. If they weren't interested, they'd simply say no and turn around and walk away. But if you see that type of behavior, make sure that you are being very observant with it. And conversely, if they straighten up, if they put their hand on their chin, if they start leaning towards you, or they turn towards you, either standing or sitting, they're really inviting you to say more. Their feet don't lie, as strange as that may sound. Feet don't lie. If they shift their feet, let's say their feet were pointing at you and then suddenly their feet point away and they point towards a door. I'm sorry, hon, but you just lost them. They are not interested in what you have to say. And that's okay. Just say, you know what? I'll tell you more about it some other time. Get permission to go back and introduce this at a better time. Just move on. You don't have to tell them everything right then. But if their feet were facing the door and now they shifted to you, they're very interested in what you have to say. So really look at their body language, at their positioning. That will tell you a whole lot about what they have to say. Now remember also, there's many avenues for delivery of a compelling message. And when you have a powerful presentation down with a creative 15-second commercial, strong qualifying questions and tie downs, you will be a force to be reckoned with. The ball is now in your court. So some side notes real quick. Remember, it's best to gather the other person's contact information than to give your own. Why is there music there? Does everybody hear that music, or is that just in my ears? Interesting. Sorry about that. So it's best to get the other person's contact information than to give yours. A lot of people, and I mentioned this last week, a lot of people talk about how they need to get business cards before they can get out and talk to people. You know what? I haven't passed out business cards in years. If it helps you feel more confident, then please definitely get those business cards. But I really have not passed out business cards in years. I have not even seen my business cards for Worth Unlimited since I moved from Vegas. So I don't know where they are. They're in a box somewhere. It's best, though, to actually get the other person's contact information. So I usually pat my pants and pat my little bag and say, oh, my goodness gracious, I'm so very sorry. I don't think I have any business cards on me, but let me go ahead and get your contact information. I pull out my phone. I go straight into there and I put their contact information in, and I will either call them or text them right there in front of them and say, gosh, now you have my contact information. I do this in front of them because I want to make sure I got the correct number, because maybe, just maybe, I input it in my phone incorrectly. So I just want to make sure I have the correct information. It also helps you to stay in control. If you give out your contact information, they are 100% in control. They determine whether or not they follow up with you, not the other way around. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm a little bit of a control freak. I know, shocker, but I am. So I like to be in control. I like to make sure that I can follow up. If I just give them the chance, then I have no clue if it's going to happen. But if I'm in control, I am 100% confident I will follow up with them. Get into the practice again of entering the people's information into your phone, contact them right away. Remember, when you're talking to them, keep your agenda off the table. And that's why it's important to talk about qualifying questions, which we're going to talk about next week. It's about getting to know your prospect and then positioning what you have to say to what's important to them. What your prospect perceives is more important than the message that you want to give across. So make sure that you're practicing, and you're practicing with others. And keep it simple, silly. Don't forget that acronym of KISS. So to sum it up, sales track is imperative in the sales process. It is really how you're going to create curiosity and you're going to gauge interest. So those 6 steps again: with whom do I start? Your 15-second commercial, using qualifying questions and tie downs, your personal and borrowed stories, the litmus test, and setting the appointment in stone. The 15-second commercial determines whether or not you move on to the rest of the sales track process. So you really need to have a solid, engaging, but short commercial. Again, the goal is to help them to want to learn more. And language and positionings are keys to that successful approach. So practice with your friends and family. Yes, it's great to ask your sponsor, but I think it's more impactful if you ask somebody that's not involved with the business. Plus, it gives you an opportunity to ask to introduce it to somebody else. Again, what the person perceives is more important than what you're trying to say, so watch and listen to their responses, and don't let anyone fall through the cracks. Use some form of contact management system, a calendar, a spreadsheet, an activity worksheet, something to make sure that you're tracking anybody and everybody. And one of the things that I would suggest using is when you sit down to create your list, your back to the basics list, that brainstorming list, do it in an Excel spreadsheet so that you have it right there in front of you. You can type in more information, you can add to it easily, and you can always find it easily as well. Follow up, follow up, follow up. The fortune's in the follow up. We'll talk more about following up, but follow up, follow up, follow up. The fortune is absolutely in the follow up. Remember your worth goals and take action daily. Don't be a secret business owner. And remember, above all, don't be afraid to mess up or stumble, and don't be afraid of the word no. I love this quote from Muhammad Ali. He once said, "I'm so great because I dared to fail so greatly." Guys, I've been very blessed with Worth Unlimited. I was the first partner in the company, and I tell you, I didn't get there because I did things perfectly. It's because I went out and I messed up. It's because I went out and I messed up my commercial. I messed up what I wanted to say. I messed up how I said what I wanted to say. But the beautiful thing is the person that you're talking with has no idea what you were going to say. So they don't know whether you messed it up or not. And even if they did know that you messed it up, most people are forgiving. And most people will say, you know what, that's okay. I can hear your passion. I need to learn more. What I also did is when I went back, I would say, you know what, gosh, Joan, you did a really bad job then. What worked, what didn't work? And I'd critique myself, not in a bad way, but I'd really give myself some constructive feedback. Because I dared to fail so greatly, I was fortunate enough to become partner in the company. Guys, there's nothing special about me. There's really nothing all that exciting about me. Don't tell that to my husband. I will deny that later. But there's really not. So if I can do it, you can do it. It really is getting back to what John was saying earlier today. Our job is to challenge the status quo. It's to teach people that there is a better way to do what we're told to do. Maybe the banks are telling us what to do one way because they are only interested in making money. They really don't have our best interest at heart. And that may be hard to believe, but they don't build those big buildings based on giving away financial secrets, based on giving other people their money. They build those big buildings because they know how to make money, and it is not what they tell us to do. We need to show people there is something else that we all can do. And that's what this program is doing. This program and our crusade truly is bigger than us. We have an opportunity to make one of the biggest changes, and revolutionize truly how Americans deal with their finances. But we all do have to rise up. To steal that from John, we have to rise up. We are obligated, in my humble opinion, to show people their true financial potential. So guys, I implore you, please stand up. Start that conversation that matters. Use some of these commercials, create your own, but most importantly, get out there and start the conversation that matters. Get out there and allow yourself to mess things up so that you can help as many people as possible. This truly is a tremendous opportunity, and I hope that each and every person on the call takes full opportunity and full advantage of this opportunity in front of us. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so grateful that I've been able to be on the call, so thank you so much. I'm grateful that everybody was on the call. We are ending right on time today, so thank you again. And I believe I've answered most of the questions as they came up. I don't see really any other questions that have come in, but I'll stay on the line in case any other questions come on for a couple minutes. Thank you again, and Mr. Max Saunders will be back on the call next week. Thank you all. You have a wonderful day. Take care.